Ready? All right. So I'll just start with roll call, and then Marvin, I'll let you walk us through while I take notes if you like.
Okay.
Roll call. I'm here. Sonia, John Keller,
Here.
Marvin Major,
Here.
Loretta Phillips,
Here.
and Todd Siebert.
Present.
All right.
I'll let you do the.
Sorry. Hold
Oh,
on.
you're good.
I have a string in my mouth.
Live on Facebook.
Okay. So let's walk through all the 2021 initiatives. A lot of initiatives here. And so let's just start walking through those. Thank you, Solomon, for putting this together. Appreciate it.
Well, chat, it should come off, but it's not.
So does everyone have a copy
See, it
of
should.
the agenda
It should.
today? Everyone online, do you all have a copy?
We do. All right.
Yes.
Okay, so regarding law enforcement,
I'm helping.
Section 8, the community outreach programming, sharing relevant rules and regulations, Mythbusters using our social media platform and events so that information is presented to the HRC, is presented to the general community to build more meaningful community relations. And so I can tell you that part of that is going to be, I've already talked to Officer Joel, but his last name is Masarian, correct? Thank you. So we're talking about the proposed program for Troy City Schools, which would be having a class set up to where a cop would come in and a civilian would kind of walk through what it's like to be pulled over, what that whole scenario should be like from the eyes of the police officer, what it's like from the eyes of the civilian, so that we can understand how to work with the police when they're asking us to do certain things, so that, you know, I think most people kind of understand that whole thing, but there's a ton of people that don't. And so that's going to really help to bridge the gap of safety, at least in our city. So that's something that we're going to work on, make sure that it happens this year. Any other questions regarding that?
Nope.
I think that's awesome.
Okay.
And that could even, he's a neighborhood watch officer as well. Could
Yeah.
that curriculum extend to the neighborhood
Yes.
watch groups?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yep. So our goal is to get hopefully the students of Troy into that class. And then if there's a way for us to get other people involved, certainly we would absolutely love to do that.
I know juveniles, specifically juvenile probation, sometimes struggles with community service or
Okay.
how to. So I think that would be logical.
I'm sorry, I'm not
Sorry,
understanding.
they struggle with like community service opportunities
Okay.
for youth. So again, depending on if it might actually work if they haven't already received the education at the school level.
Right. So you're saying that they could be of assistance as a volunteer to help?
Well, I mean,
that they need to go through the class.
they could go through the class.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
consider education for them. And maybe they can do it in their national night out too, is something that I don't know if they'll have time though for that.
I'm not familiar with.
The cops go to each neighborhood for National Night Out
Okay.
to create community. It's kind of like community policing to create relationships. They get limited time, so that might be a little harder, but they could start with the marketing even to be aware that, hey, we have this opportunity to have education. I mean, because they're in the neighborhoods.
Yeah. I think our long-term goal is to have a video out there, and so that people can basically go onto a website and just see it.
Okay.
And I was speaking with him, and he said that there's something that already exists like that, but it's really old and outdated.
Okay.
But he said it's kind of spot on from what we're talking about. So it seems like there is a need for that. There has been a need for that. And so they've done some things in the past. And so we just need to get that back out into the open to help.
You talk about a class, it seems like to me it would be, and I assume they do this at Troy, it'd be
No.
just a 1-day program, like
Mm-mm.
a 45-minute program where people would come to the gym and.
Yep.
Is that what you're talking about?
That's kind of what
Okay,
we're talking about.
okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. And then it would be nice to have it live, and then kids could ask questions maybe,
Right.
so it probably would be best to do it live just for like the first couple times, and then you can get some feedback to see what kind of questions you get, because there could be some outliers that we don't understand
Mhm.
that need to be added into it before it gets set up on a video platform. So that's a great thought. Let me add that in as a note for Joel.
Hey, Marvin, what age
Yeah.
group are you looking at? Are you looking at high school? Is that what we're looking at for this?
Yeah, I think we're looking at ages 9th through 12.
Okay,
I think most kids don't have a driver's license until they're in 9th to 10th grade at the earliest. So I think that's probably the best time to hit them.
No, I disagree with that kind of, because I think it should be more like 7th and 8th grade too, because
Okay.
kids are stopped on the street. Think about it. Kids are stopped on the street. If they're maybe you look suspicious, or is that your bike or something. So they need to know how to react to that too. So I think it should be younger, 7th and 8th graders.
Okay.
Maybe not, but that's what I'm thinking. Because we've had an incident with my grandson when he was in 7th grade.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we should make it 7th through 12.
Thank you very much for that feedback. To start maybe 7th grade, and then
Maybe it's police relations 7th grade, and then
Yeah, it
actually
is, yeah.
driving in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I just think it's a good idea, because the kids really should know the police officers that are working in the city. I think that they should. Like I knew the officer in our block.
Yeah.
I knew him very well. He walked up to our porch, and he knew us, and he knew that we could work together,
Yeah,
and
because-
so I think it's important.
And they do get
Yeah.
exposure. If you get a homework helper, I mean, you could get an officer. So there is some exposure in elementary already.
Yeah.
With the,
Yeah.
it's positive.
Mhm.
well, I'm glad to see that one's moving forward.
Yes. Okay, thank you. So C is the Citizens Review Board. So decided to hold off, but agreed to start by meeting with Sean McKinney every 6 months to go over reports of forced and traffic stops. So yeah, we will continue to do that. That's also something that is being done at the city council level, right? So Salome, he gives that report monthly, right?
Yeah.
So it's probably a report that we could get each month just to review it. Yes. So, okay. So can we,
Council packets are posted on the website, our website. City
Yeah.
website, so
okay.
everyone has an access to it.
I looked through some and I couldn't find that same report that he was going through. So maybe that was different.
Should we put that on HRC website? Just
We already
blatantly.
have it on we don't, we do not have same information. on different web pages. Here with repetition of the same information. It is on the calendar, when you click on the council meeting, the lower post, the agenda and packet. So. you have
So
to-
everybody has access to it already.
But Sean has, I think, 2 reports, so the report he brought in, when he was here as a speaker, it might have been different.
I think it
than
was different.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am not sure.
Okay. So the last thing under the law enforcement section, so we had looked at a city ordinance that was put together several months ago. That is still sitting with the city attorney for review. So that's something that I need to follow up on with Patrick and see where we're at with that. You all should have a copy of it, and you should have been able to read through it.
And
And
sorry to interrupt.
no, please do.
I remember that Mr. Dickerington told us at one of the meetings that the state was making some changes in the law, and that's what Mr. Kerber was waiting for, to see what kind of changes state would
Okay.
implement. And I do not know if you have an update for us, but I can definitely check.
Okay.
I can talk to Mr. Dickerington and I'll ask him. Law director.
Thank you.
You said from the state level, right? Okay, thank you.
Okay, and any questions over the law enforcement section? Anything we need to add, or? Or are we good to
Do
go?
we need to follow up with the recommendation, or it's probably too soon, right? We sign that recommendation for the CAMs to the mayor or Troy Foundation, I'm sorry.
Letter,
It was
Just an
signed at our
endorsement.
last HRC meeting,
Okay,
so they're waiting to see if there's any more state funds available
okay,
to coincide with that money
okay.
from Troy Foundation. So hopefully, I don't know when we'll figure that out completely, but I'll try to
Okay.
keep everybody updated. Salome, is there any updates that you know about at this point? No? Okay.
Yeah, it's probably too soon. Okay.
I think per last meeting, they were saying that they'll have the body cameras this year at some point, but it may be like the third quarter or the fourth quarter of the year.
Okay.
grant support letter was submitted on February 15th, so it's been a few days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I figured. That too soon.
But that's really good news. I think that's a huge step.
I do too.
Yeah, so-
Yeah.
Okay, so can we close out the law enforcement section?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
I have one.
Salome,
Sorry.
go.
Sorry.
So I don't know if you remember on the speakers list, I have included chief on it for April, for the meeting in April and October.
Okay,
So that's your
Thank you.
two meetings with chief. I do not know when commission will decide to have a HRC meeting in April, but when we have the date, I'll talk to chief, and then maybe you also want to have a tour at police station, because that was also discussed at one of your
Yes.
meetings.
Mhm.
So you could have a tour in April, and then he could update you on some of the traffic stops if you'd like.
I think that would be nice. I think we did discuss that we would all go there and try and have a meeting, but I think that was squashed due to safety protocol. And so
Yes.
it would be nice to have a visit though.
If not in April, I don't know. The
Yeah.
commission has to decide how you want to do it. Some
Yeah.
people might not feel safe to go to the group and have a tour, but it's really up to you.
I'd be happy to go at any point. So this
And I
may
can-
seem like a good,
Yeah, I did Troy
Fine.
leadership, so if they're worried about numbers, then I'll stay back because I've had the tour.
I don't think there was a concern with numbers, was there?
And not,
I mean,
from
some
the cities,
Yeah, like if
from the
one of the
commission, I don't know how
members.
Yeah.
commission members feel about that.
Yeah.
I know that few have been attending meetings via Zoom, so.
Yeah,
I'm getting, well, I guess I won't say that on TV, but I'm
You out of your
I think in a month I am good.
You go, boy.
So-
You better be the spokesman for the people. Honey.
That he was included in the speakers list, and
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was trying to schedule that meeting somewhere in April.
Okay.
Those are great times to do it. All right, so the local election process.
I think we tabled it, right? Let's see.
If you look at the
Yeah.
attachment 1 in HRC initiatives, I think that is most updated of what your committee has discussed. So that information will be
Yep.
the final decision what your committee has decided and the commission agreed.
We had discussed that a lot of those communications would go through our HRC website. It would go out through our social media platform. So that's what we'll continue to do for helping to increase the marketing efforts of the local election process for the city of Troy. In addition to helping to find poll workers and things like that, we said that we would push that through our communication, I guess our platform that goes through the city.
Yeah, I agree, Marvin. I think that's what we'll do. We just need to make sure, we could put up little things, just be sure to vote and those sorts of things that we really need. I don't know if we have the ability to change the box locations. I think that's still the Board of Elections province, but those are things that we can really make sure that we're following. And then, perhaps you could put up something about who's eligible to vote. So that I know initially there was a lot of misunderstanding or perhaps miscommunication about whether a felony prohibited you from being able to vote. And I think that's one thing that we can work on, assuring that we communicate that the eligibility of voters. So I think those are things that we need to do. But again, it'll be May and November when that will become relevant again.
Yep. So soon. So I guess as an action item, we can work with them to craft a communication stream that we can maybe start the month of April.
Right. Well, and again, we could maybe utilize, I mean, I know we're going to put the posters up, but maybe we can come up with something along those lines again to just sort of encourage people to vote. If we have some access to some public space where we can put something like that up.
Yeah, I'll make a note of it. We can follow that. Okay, so we can start to meet with them maybe next month or a month after to try to plan out a proper communication calendar through the HRC. Is there anyone that would want to work on that process?
I can't speak for him, but I hear Kane, like, because that is his passion.
Yeah.
But I don't want to speak
Mhm.
for him. But I know that's his passion.
Okay, I will engage Kane and ask.
Yeah. And if Kane wants to, I'll be glad to help Kane. I don't want to add more to my plate. I'm already on both these committees, plus city council, plus trying to be a dad and do everything else, but I'd be glad to help him.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're turning into quite a mentor there. So you add another plus.
Oh,
I think it's a good mentor for Kane.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
he's a good young man.
he is.
He really is. Okay, so the community events, Sonia, would you like to discuss that section?
All right, so we have proposed 2 to 4 events per year. We were talking about the Festival of Nations. Ms. Phillips, do you have an update on that?
No, I don't. I was trying to wait to find out exactly what we wanted to do or how we wanted to participate in it.
Okay.
They do know and are excited about us wanting to help out. So I can get more information and get it back to the group by the next
So-
meeting.
So are they still planning on having an event this year, or are they
That's-
waiting to
that's-
see
They have a
how-
meeting coming up where
Okay.
they'll be discussing whether or not they're going to go ahead and plan it, but it's always in August.
Okay.
In the early fall. Well, it's not really fall, but I call it early fall in August. And it's usually always up at the levee. They have a lot of things. They have dancers, they have music, food. They have, each group has their own things that they sell. They would like for us to help out, like coming to it and then also participating in, if we know someone that is from another country, to, and, you know, talk to them about joining the organization. And she said she would be willing to come and speak to us about why it got started. And I would like for her to come and do that because she's a very sweet lady. She's an older lady in her 80s, but she gets around really good. And she would like to do that. So it would be nice to have her to come and talk about exactly why she wanted, her husband, who was the mayor at the time, wanted to start having a Festival of Nations.
It's Ruth Jenkins, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, she's on Florida Lakeland Youth Shelter too. She's very active.
Yeah,
Well,
she's very active. Yeah.
I'd be honored to have her come.
Are there any other thoughts in regards to how we would participate or support? Does anybody?
I think that we can help them in terms of just trying to get, you know, a line of communication out to help. I'd be happy to volunteer my time, you know, for anything with
Okay.
that.
That would be a good time in the community too, for us to hand out pamphlets and stuff concerning what we're trying to do here. And maybe
Right.
they have some ideas of things that we can do to make the community more versatile.
Could we have a booth?
I'm sure we can. I don't think that would be a problem. I'm gonna write that down as one of the things to ask her.
Okay. Our second initiative was seeing if the Civic Center would put on the play Self-Evident Truth, 1957. So I met with Miss Carolyn Moore, formerly Wheat.
Mhm.
She is willing to work with us to create what she feels is an accurate rendition of her mother's experiences, but they are not willing to give any rights. And I'm under the impression in order to actually do the play, you have to have the full rights. I did reach out to the Civic Theater. I had a small conversation with a lady, and she was supposed to have the director call me, and I haven't heard back. They talked about kind of trying to do plays in the past and having diversity and reaching out to Dayton. And I don't think maybe things worked well regards of logistics and timing and whatnot, but at any rate, I kind of explained, why we were here and what we had planned to do. And I haven't heard anything back. I got a picture of like I have so many things from her now, but that is like, it was actually played on Broadway, like Todd said. So that's
It was off Broadway.
it was off Broadway, but I think it's the Soho Theater. I don't know. I think that's considered Broadway. I'm
No,
looking at
that's
I'm
off
looking at a
Broadway.
document that I pulled out of her personal belongings.
Mhm.
I still have to do some work on that. There was an off Broadway, but I think there was an on Broadway as well.
Yeah.
And someone at some point talked about actually making it a movie. And again, this is per the conversation. So that's where we're at with that. But I was really elated I actually have some documents in my phone that show Lucille Wheat's history, and it's nothing short of amazing. She was on the Troy City Council Development. She got education awards. She was a Black cheerleader in Troy High School in 1952. She was the first Black inducted National Honor Society. I mean, it just went on. And she actually has all of the original documents, like Hobart thanking her, Troy City Council, CAC thanking her. And so I was able to pull some dates that I'm going to go actually get copies of things, so we all can see. So I've actually gotten some more names of the original. I have one account here where it talks about the Troy Human Relations Commission and how
Right.
it was at First Presbyterian Church, how they fought to get 3 Negro teachers into our schools, how they were working on other things as well. So again, I'm going to work together to kind of compile that history. But that's where we are in regards to the play. I would love to work with Carolyn Moore in creating something. One, we talked about healing. She talks about so the diaries went missing and someone rewrote the story. And so to her and to her family, they don't feel that it's necessarily accurate. But
Right.
she's down to make it accurate. And again, I think that helps in healing. So if that's something that we can do, I would love to. I've kind of recorded her in some stories, but they're I didn't get permission to share that, but she's willing to collaborate. So I would say if we're able to do that, I would love to bring her up to talk to Patrick Kennedy, because he is the historian, or if we find a historian to document. But yeah, that's where we're at in regards to the play.
Okay.
This is the 1980 copy of Some Self-Evident Truth that I've had for a long time. I don't know if they republished it or where that came from, but
Okay.
I can bring it to the next meeting if someone ever wants to really look at the
Yeah.
I don't know
So
when.
the city or not the city, I'm sorry. The library, the Hayner, has the rights to the Davies family portion. We just don't have the right to the Wheat side. So that's why we can't just make a play. But we can possibly make a play with her. There was also talk of the Randolph slaves were also in Troy. And there are people working on that history. And there is a person, her name is Paisha Thomas. She was born in Piqua, but she is interested in possibly putting something together as well in conjunction with the Hayner. So there's some different ways we can go with that. So I think we just need time to think about that. Again, I'm not a playwright by nature, so I don't know the ins and outs, but I do want to honor Miss Moore's wishes, and if that's how her family feels, I think we need to figure out how to work with her. So if you have any ideas, let me know. If anybody wants to take a field trip, she's an amazing woman.
Yep, she is.
She is. She's amazing.
Yeah. And she's tiny.
Yeah, she is. She's a tiny little thing, but she's fighting cancer, and she's 85. So
Mhm.
Hey,
know,
Loretta,
Yes.
so are her and Sydney brother and
Brother and
sister?
sister. Yeah, that's her brother.
And then
that was-
Sydney Wheat, that's my age, would be old Sydney's son.
That's their son. He passed away, you know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's been gone a couple years.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. I'm sorry for that diversion. Just trying to put.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Carolyn Mertz at the Hayner Center is willing to work with us in regards to, she's again, another respected friend of Miss Moore's. So if HRC wants me to continue or what you want to do, just let me know.
Yeah, let's just let it ride for a little bit and then we'll see where we come up.
Okay, fair enough. And then our next is recommendations for Prouty Plaza and other city events. And Salome told us that we are going to have Treasure Island, Motown.
Yeah,
Recommendations. Talk my memory. It's just on.
they're
here.
good.
For Prouty Plaza and other city events. We've done that, right? Or do we need to do more?
I have submitted the performers, list of performers
Yeah.
I received from HRC to.
So it's kind of done, right? For right now, anyway. For this year.
Unless you have, yes. So
Yeah.
I already started reaching out to performers and to schedule the events.
So you might, I mean, it doesn't hurt if you want to think about next year or the following year, if you have recommendations, maybe get to Salome. But we've done our recommendations for this year. So then the last agenda is the Cookout event, celebrating diversity. Being on so many different teams, I actually was talking with the MLK team last night, and there are so many teams doing very similar things. And so I kind of just did an email dump, and Pastor Kemma is going to reach out to people to kind of corral in, because I've talked to a lot of the groups. TFC tried to do a cookout, but COVID kind of prevented it. And so I started talking to everybody about how would, what would our cookout look like? And because we're smaller and we're rural, we talked about like having family shirts, like a family reunion, and having everybody collaborate and come and just kind of celebrate our history, our culture, whatnot. So I think that event is well served if we collaborate as a whole. That would be the Light Stop, the MLK, the Troy Freedom Tracers, the Troy Student Government. We have I'm on the Historical Alliance, who's actually they're trying to expound our historic district. And I did a recommendation for Presbyterian Church and the church across the street because of the Underground Railroad. And she said, do you know of any historical like buildings that have significant African-American history or any history that they should be looking at? And ironically, of course, the first building I thought of was the center, right? Well, they looked it up and it's not on a national registry. So they added that to a possible, like one of the ones that they could possibly work towards. But I'm posing that question to everybody because I am not a Troy native, if there are places or whatnot, and they're interested in helping with markings. So they weren't aware of Nineveh, which was kind of neat. So maybe marking those areas. So they're willing to partner with us as well. So I think all those groups could help in a cookout of sorts in different ways.
Sonia, I did a little bit of research because I knew this was on the agenda today. And I'll be honest, I wasn't aware of this until this past year. And I don't think you'll be able to get one together with COVID this soon. But I think if we could center that around Juneteenth, that would be
Great.
Yeah,
to do that.
I think that's
Yeah.
perfect. And then we shoot for next year where we're safe, but we can work on those relationships.
It's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you look at, I did some research on the holiday, and cookouts are one of the things that are associated with that holiday. And like I said, I part of what I love this group about is I really didn't even know about that holiday till this group started meeting, and someone brought it up at one of the meetings. And, I've done some research on that, and I just think that's like a perfect time because it's in. You can't really do February because it's just really too cold to do a lot of stuff. But I think if we can add some community knowledge to that holiday, and when you read about the holiday, it's such a significant day, and You guys probably, you may already know this, but 47 states recognize it now, and there's a push to make it a national holiday. And I think we could be on the forefront of something there. I just don't think, I mean, you're already in March, and I don't think you'll be able to get something together by the 19th of June. But I do think that the concept of having a big event, cookout event that we've talked about would work. And I do think those sort of hand in glove together.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
I'm really
I like
impressed,
that.
Todd. I'm just gonna give you your props real quick right now. I'm so
Yeah.
impressed with what you just did. Very impressed. Literally, like, you can drop a mic. Where's your son? Is he in the background? I'm impressed. Seriously.
Well,
That's
that's fine. I just try to do my job, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, that really made me smile. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, then we
That
will
is really good
Juneteenth
stuff.
it is. But I will challenge you. You haven't been around my neighborhood. We can do a cookout pretty quick, y'all.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
That's not a problem.
This is not a problem.
Yeah, I just don't know what's scheduled. I don't know what planning would be involved. I mean, if it's possible this year, that's probably okay. But I think are better suited to look for next year. I don't know. Salome could probably give us some more advice, but I don't know that. I mentioned a little bit to Patrick today that I might bring it up, and he's like, I don't know what the schedule's like, and don't commit to anything because we may have other stuff going on. And I was like, I understand, but I do think that it's something that we could look at.
Yeah, I mean, let's just look at it. I mean, because when we do it, we want to do it well.
Right.
It falls on a Saturday, so this year is like the perfect year to do it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I got so many groups in my computer right now. I literally could just dice myself 50 ways, and I know they all would embrace something. It's amazing.
And even if we did it at Richard's Chapel, if there's things downtown or an alternate place, the APAC, or I don't know, just something to think about. I don't want. So, but
Definitely. Okay.
I think that we could add some.
Yeah.
I just think that's something that we can start to spread the word about, and I think it's important.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, I agree. Really.
I
Here's
can-
another cookie for you. I wish I could give it to you. That's so cool.
I still got my pretzels.
That's so cool. Before we head on, just a side note, there are groups working to do community conversations in conjunction with some big speakers. Again, I know we have our agenda, but if we want to be a part, Marvin, I actually put your name on the email. So you will be getting that email. So if we want to embrace the two speakers that they're looking at, one is an African-American man who deals with rural history. So how to cultivate rural history, or Black history in rural Ohio. And then the other one is Officer Tommy Norman, who is an officer that works in North Little Rock, Arkansas. He's all about community policing, super like Facebook, social media famous right now, and is the most humble, amazing soul. The Troy Freedom Chasers brought him to our attention, and not very expensive at all to bring in. So again, when you see that email, that's what that's about. I'm trying to be my best Salome of not speaking HRC without being here. So I just kind of talked about it here, but I didn't like say anything with an HRC hat on. So if we want to help with that.
Is that the police officer who did Bridges Out of Poverty?
No, his name is Angel Tucker. Write his name down, because when you get done, he's all over social media. Patrolman Tommy Norman. He's Caucasian in Little Rock, Arkansas, but the north side, which is extremely, extremely like high crime. But he is a Caucasian officer, and he was on patrol, and these kids started running from him. And he actually followed him all the way home and was like, why are you running? And it started the dialogue of, we're afraid of you, not because of your badge, well, because of your badge and your color. And so he was determined to break that cycle. So again, he would come not in uniform, he would come in a suit, but he does things to inspire and encourage, not to incite. So one of the conditions, and I already spoke with Sean about him was he wanted to know that everybody would be comfortable with him coming, because it's not a message of trying to do anything other than inspire community policing and prove that it can be done. So,
Good.
Awesome.
right, let's see. And this is the Troy Preservation Alliance. So I kind of just mentioned that already. I've sent you some things about that alliance, but I can send you more if you need it. Yeah, not really sure. And then now we go down to the marker system. I
Yeah.
think it makes sense to work with the people that do history because that's kind of their thing and that's what they do already. So it's Chris Manning is on the Preservation Alliance, and then Ben Southerly heads the whole kind of save downtown, the building and whatnot. So those are the 2-point people, and I can send you over.
So should we try to have a meeting with him?
Yeah, I
Okay,
agree. We
let's
actually
do that.
have a Zoom meeting at 7:30 tonight in regards to Preservation Alliance, but then there is an overarching meeting. So I think it would be best to like talk to Ben and just kind of tell him, what we're
Full-time,
thinking
yeah.
and how
Okay.
we can mesh together.
Well, we have to come up with also a budget, and we need to get some funding to, do
Yeah.
some things. It won't be a pricey budget, but we do need to get some markers to go on certain buildings.
Yeah, and so
Things
they
like that.
are like very into, oh, maybe we can help you with the Nineveh marking, and working on making sure that the historical zoning has kind of widened and whatnot. And again, they're looking for any buildings that are significant that we're overlooking. They don't want to wait until they're already so bad that they can't be repaired, but to honor them. And then we talked about the reality of you might not be able to say buildings or buildings are gone, but we can mark.
So should we have like a survey that's put out through the city website where people can let us know if there's any historical significance in any buildings? Because I don't know that.
I don't know. I mean, I'm learning little things, but yeah. What do you think?
Team, is that something that we should do? Thoughts on it? Or should we meet with Chris Southerly first and Chris Manning?
Or Chris Manning and Ben?
First,
With Chris and Ben?
Okay,
Yeah, I
see if
think-
they already have it.
So I can,
some might have personal opinions, but it might not be the historically accurate. So then you need to filter that information anyway,
Yep.
so it'll be like doubling the work.
Yeah.
okay. So I can try to set up a meeting tonight on the Zoom if you'd like. Or I can just do an email and say, here's the introduction. What do you prefer?
I'm fine to meet tonight, but they're probably not expecting us.
Oh,
so-
no. I mean, when I get on, I'm supposed to be on Zoom tonight. I
Okay.
can start that
Yes,
conversation.
please,
Okay,
yes.
gotcha.
And then if you could just set up a meeting, and then we can all just.
Okay.
I'm free during the day if
Okay.
I have at least a week notice.
Okay, and I think with a meeting like that, Todd, you definitely, because you know the city stuff, the zoning, I don't know any of that stuff. You should be present for that meeting.
Okay,
I'll send it to both of.
just do it after 6 o'clock if we're gonna do it on a Monday through Thursday.
Okay,
Or call and I'll schedule it in, but usually I'm at the office till 6.
okay, gotcha. I just don't want to like get into like a really good meeting and have all these ideas and it's not even relevant or practical, or like we're off base. And I think you're
No,
keeping.
I
us-
know Ben, I know Ben Southerly well, so I'll be glad to talk to
Okay.
him.
Perfect. And then we got work with Hayner, historical department, Patrick Kennedy, and that's what we're doing. Conversation we've had. Now Shane, I haven't, Miss Phillips has the updates in regards to the history wall.
Has he been having those
With the
meetings still
center-
on Tuesday?
I would ask Miss Phillips because I haven't been able to be a part. I haven't heard anything. Do you want to fill us in
On what now?
on the history wall at the center?
Yeah, they are almost finished with it, probably the next 2 or 3 weeks. It will be completed. Then they will have, it's gonna take another month or 2 for the active wall, which you press a button and it, you can go to about any place you want. It will have historical families that have been, well, they call it generational families, that have been coming to the center for more than 4 and 5 generations. That will be activated. That way, all you have to do is press it, and you can see the stories. There'll be quite a few stories on there, and people that have gone on from Lincoln Center to do very, very well. But anyway, it's looking really good, really
Nice.
good. Yeah, from the beginning, or I mean, down to the point where it shows the diagrams of what it was supposed to look like when it started, after it was done, what it looks like, and then the years that it's set as a storage place for a while. But all the history is right there on the board, and it's dated so that you can follow along to see how it has grown.
That's really
Yeah.
awesome. Well, they have like, do you know if they'll have a social media access? So like, could you do like a virtual tour if you weren't physically at the center to see that wall?
Yeah, that is one of the things that they're doing, but that will come up later. They're trying to get all the other stuff on there first. And it will periodically change as situations or things change at the center. The board will also change. It's interchangeable, so you can bring it back or, add to it.
Is there any conversations of cultivating like history now, so we're in a better position in 50, 100 years?
Well, it's pinpoint up to right now, literally. And it can be added on. That's what I'm saying. It's active, so it can be added to it. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking of like, so we're not necessarily struggling, but if we didn't have people like you and Miss Moore, we would know what to put on that wall. So how do we prevent that in 50 years, 100 years, so the next generations aren't scampering around? Like, I'm finding all of this Lucille Wheat on the Troy Development Council and getting all these accreditations. Like, how are we cultivating our history today? I guess, who's having that conversation, or do we need to have that conversation?
Well, it's pretty much doing that on the board.
Okay.
Pretty much doing that on the board. Yeah.
But that's just there.
Yeah.
Right? That's not for Troy.
Yeah, so
So
I think it's,
we should have that discussion for Troy.
and maybe it's in conjunction with Patrick Kennedy, who holds history.
Yeah.
How can we best cultivate as we're doing? It's like right now, like the Troy Human Relations Commission, right? How do we ensure that our story will be told the way that we believe our story is?
Yeah.
I just think that that's super important, especially if we're going to start marking things.
Yeah.
So people don't have to do this in 50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've already talked to him about the library uptown, and we are giving him a lot of the materials that he does not have.
Okay. That's
Concerning
awesome.
things that have happened in the past,
Right.
that we have the paperwork. One thing good was we had parents that kept every piece of paper. We had papers that are literally shriveling up because
Right.
they've been there for so long. Half of the stuff that we have came from my father's closet that he kept all his little paperwork stuff. So we
Right.
are giving those to him to keep for us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. So how do we empower every citizen, if it's valid, like true history that needs to be cultivated, to open up their closets, to open up those old albums as family members pass, and actually start building across the city? Like, I think it's just,
Yeah, because there are a lot of stories that could be told.
yes.
A lot.
So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that would encompass like the Hispanic journey within Troy,
Mhm.
the Asian, the Japanese, LGBT, whatever, but teaching people to cultivate their own history across the board.
Right.
So, and then those conversations, we can just pull it and have those with the historic people.
I agree.
So now we're at the walking history to the smartphone. Is that something that you want to have with the historic people too, or do you already
Yeah,
have
I,
something?
I think we should work with them first. I've looked at, I've looked at two companies online that can help out with that. So let's talk with them first
Okay.
and see what they
Nice.
say. I mean, I can introduce what I found,
Okay.
and then we can all work together on it.
To submitting two posts.
Yeah, I'll start it.
Okay.
So we had a meeting with Salome and also with Lauren, is her name correct?
Yes.
So we met with Lauren, she's the communications director for Troy. And we talked about how to make sure that the HRC was going to be shown on the website for Troy and also through Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And also we have YouTube and there's also Nextdoor. And so those platforms are certainly open to us to post. And so my goal is to have us as the HRC tell our story, right? So we need to be able to put together just an overview of who we are and why we exist. So the who we are also comes with everyone needing to take a headshot so that we can get that headshot put onto the first, I guess the first communication that goes out. And so we'd like to get that put together soon. So I would like to ask all members if you could get a really nice headshot from your shoulders up. We'll get that added to the first communication that goes out that will introduce the HRC. I think it's important to put a face with the name. And
Do you have
so
a deadline for that?
if you could do it within the next week, that would be fantastic. So the post, we like to put together a posting calendar. And so we like to get ahead of certain dates, start to create some awareness for some things that we're doing. And so it would be good, each of the topics that we're talking about, once we get closer to a actual drop dead date, we can start to communicate what we're doing and what and why and when we'd like the community to, kind of join in and help us,
Okay.
in whatever way we're looking. So that's all about the website and social media. Any questions on that?
It says who will post what and when. Do we get it to you and then you divvy, or do we?
So what will happen is that the communication will come to myself, then I will push it over to Salome and Lauren. They will review it, make sure that we don't have any issues with it, any conflicts that could cause a problem, and then they will get that posted out on the social media sites, whichever platform.
Okay.
So I've also offered up my company. We have 7 people that work in a web dev group that they can help to push out some things as well. So we'll get it kind of pre-approved,
Okay.
and then we'll push it through our company and they'll start putting some stuff out as well.
Nice.
That is if Lauren can't do it for us. So
Okay.
Marvin, I don't mean to interrupt, but couple of things I just want to maybe interject here if possible. There's an IT guy at Troy who we may want to use to do the headshots. I think if you have everybody individually take their headshots, you're going to end up with a lot of inconsistencies, both in availability to put them online because it won't be of a high enough grade. So I think we should check with the city. Maybe they won't do it, but I don't know that they wouldn't, but let's check with them and see if we can use them to take our headshots. I know that's what they do for city council and other planning commission and some other people. And that might be at least we'll know that they'll have the bandwidth so that we have quality photos for everybody. And
I think that's
then have we approved the poster? I know I was gone most of the last week, but I gave a thumbs up to the poster and the brochure. I just didn't know where we stood with that.
So
Those were approved. Yeah.
Yeah.
She just
Like that.
but yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely was approved. I think that the approved came after we were going to make some changes to it, and I believe that you already made those changes,
Yes.
and so we're ready to go with it.
And actually, work uploaded goes on your HRC's webpage, so.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we and Salome, and I talked to Patrick about this a little bit. We need to make sure that Lauren or we write a press release to make sure that Melanie puts that in, that Melanie and Nancy have access to that for the paper. There may even be a story. I don't know if Steve Baker would do a story, but we need to get those posters and the brochures out. I think it's a good journalistic story for people to pick up on, and I think we'll probably get some the people will actually respond to that. So I do think we need to work on getting that message out.
How do we get copies too for like our organizations and our churches?
Actually,
She can say
we've
that.
already inquired for like twice how much it would cost to put out the flyers. I did need to find my list, but I know I have.
And I'm actually on the website right now. So if you go to troyohio.gov/HRC, it's posted right there on the homepage.
Awesome.
Beautiful, great work, Todd. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. Looks good.
Good. Well, like I just said, I think that is something that we need to not only internally but externally let people know that we've that these are out there, because ultimately one of our objectives is to investigate issues that happen, and we need to make sure that people know that we exist. And so that was the main reason behind that. And I think we need to hopefully the newspaper will give us some ink on it, or the news station, or however it works out. I don't care, but we should probably get that message out.
Yes.
I can talk to Warren and I'll ask them to start working on them.
Okay. I think that's
Salome, I can barely hear you. I don't know if you,
We
I
never-
can't either.
it's because we're all
Yeah.
muffled in here.
Yes, and I am sitting too far from the microphone,
mic.
that's why.
yeah, you're fine. I mean, the meeting's about done, but I just so you know, you were pretty hard to hear.
So what's the gentleman's name, Todd, that you mentioned that works in IT that can take our picture?
Salome will have to get in touch with somebody. I don't know who will do it. I just know that they have cameras and that they've done it in the past. So just, I do agree we need to do it sooner than later, but I also think that having consistent, well-taken pictures is going to be better than people trying to do headshots on their iPhones.
I would agree with that.
I have a great headshot, not on my iPhone. I'm just joking.
Look, if you have one, you have one. I don't know.
No, I'll take a new pic.
Depends on the model iPhone you have. Like, the older, the worse it's gonna be, right?
So for flyers and posters, if you come up with the numbers, how many of those you would like to print out, so how many of those you would need to hand out, locations where posters will be distributed, like actual paper copies, not the online.
Yeah.
So if you start thinking about those numbers, because if you start printing those out, you should have the
Yes.
numbers. So it will be cheaper if you print out more than.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have some suggestions for location?
I have some suggestions.
Yeah.
I think we should take them to all the churches. I
Yeah.
think we should start there at
All the
least.
churches,
And we should take them to all the schools, all the nonprofit organizations, and we should start,
the city building, the courthouse.
yes.
Yeah, I think you need the library,
Mhm.
courthouse,
Yep.
the rec.
Department.
Yeah. We'll all send you our ideas, Salome.
Okay.
So I guess the next question comes, should we have some that are laminated instead of just paper?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay,
Mm.
just good, no.
No.
For schools, I asked Mr. Fong and he said schools do not distribute paper copies, handouts anymore, but he said he would upload those posters and flyers, both of them to the school's website.
Oh, okay.
Maybe they could have pamphlets in the counselor's office though. Possibly, because they have college pamphlet in other papers. I guess if paper is an issue,
Yeah.
because that's usually, again, if you have an issue, you're gonna go to a counselor, whether it's a guidance or the social emotional, whatever.
Yeah.
So do the students get like a text message when there's something uploaded to the school site? You probably don't know that,
I
but
know.
Mm-mm.
we'll have to ask Mr. Fong.
But we'll give you some locations, and I know there's some spaces. There's a couple spots downtown, right? There's one in front of the Mayflower, and there's a couple other spots we can put them up into.
Is there also a Troy City channel that people can tune into?
Troy radio show
Well, there's like in most cities, there's like a
downtown.
station that you can
Mhm.
see on TV, and it kind of goes through what's going on at the city. I
No.
grew up in
I don't
Cleveland.
think it's.
No.
city
No, we don't
driven,
have one.
no.
Okay.
No, not anymore.
I think we had one for a while, Marvin, and it was sort of a school run deal, and it kind of fell apart.
Okay, I see. All right. Any more questions, thoughts about social media?
Mhm.
Did we skip? I don't want to make the meeting longer, but did we skip church leadership? I don't
Yeah.
want John
We
I
did.
don't-
Yes, we did.
out.
Am I blind?
Yeah, I think we got stuck on the attachment, and I missed the agenda. So, Todd, thank you very much.
Where is church leader?
Going back, it's D. It's
D.
Here, it's on you.
It's on the agenda. It's not
Oh,
in the
thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Initiatives.
So the church initiatives, I think,
Pastor John.
yeah, you and Pastor John were going to work together
Yep.
on that, correct?
Mhm.
And I'd be happy to as well.
You know who's really interested is the pastor of the First Presbyterian Church right now.
Okay.
Remember we had that convert. Oh, I'm sorry you weren't there,
No.
but he's interested in also working on bringing the churches back. I know this was a passion for our former mayor Mike, so he may be interested in still doing that.
So do we have a list of all the churches already?
I think Salome had it together, don't you, Salome?
No, I was gonna say no. We have a list at Partners in Hope
Yeah.
of the church.
Oh, that's where. Okay.
So
Partners in Hope has
where
the
does the
best-
list? Where do we want the list to come? To us, to Salome, she can distribute.
No,
Or?
I think what we had discussed in our earlier meeting, this was about maybe 2.5 months ago, we had discussed that we would create a letter that we would give to all the pastors at the church. We would make, I think we were supposed to make an introduction, then we were going to ask them to all come to a meeting. I know
Yeah.
due to COVID, people aren't wanting to come in person until they've been,
Yes. So we need to
Sure.
draft the letter.
so we
then.
do need a letter that basically will introduce ourselves, which we can pull from the website. And then additionally, we were gonna have a, a meeting. So I
Yeah.
think we could possibly do that on Zoom. I'd be happy to host it. If there's a conflict with the city site, but I think we would want all of the church leaders in the city to come together. Just so we can introduce ourselves and kind of tell them how we'd like to work with them. And I think that's how we're going to be able to reach out to a lot of people. I think we've always said that. So I think it's paramount that we put that in action
Okay.
immediately.
So do you want to work on the letter together, and then I think
Yeah,
it's
we can-
fitting for you want to run that meeting. I mean, that's your crew. Like I just think that's fitting. I really do.
We haven't been able to pull together the churches for this whole 8 years
But it's
I've been
gonna
here. Do you
take
think?
The Lord and a pastor to do it. You just because that's how hard it's gonna be. But no.
No,
Yeah.
It's a-
I'd be happy to help
it-
too.
it's.
Yeah.
I'm
No.
okay
Let's do it.
drafting the letter. Again, I think we need to be very specific what we want the meeting to be about,
Yes.
because people are busy. And-
Yeah.
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 And,
And so I'll just.
so are we talking about having this meeting with with just this group or the whole?
I would like to have a meeting subset from these meetings that we have at the HRC.
Okay,
So like maybe it could be on like a Thursday evening, and we all get together and just meet and talk and let everybody go through and introduce. And I know how pastors are, so we're gonna have to give them like a 30-second, time frame. My grandfather was a pastor, so I can say that.
So I'll get the mailers. I'll
Okay.
put them on labels and everything. If you two draft the letter, does that sound good?
I'd be
And I'll
happy
get
to
the
help draft
envelopes and
letter.
everything. If you want to do that, because you seem super excited.
For
So
me,
yeah, so I'll let you guys draft the letter.
Since you'll be meeting with the church leaders and you'll have HRC members present at the meeting,
we need
still
to
probably,
communicate it.
you'll be discussing HRC business. So
Yes. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We would absolutely want anyone who would want to attend, certainly. I was hoping that we would be through COVID so we could have, a face-to-face meeting with cookies and,
I mean, the town is
Coffee
open.
and-
I don't think they're open. But I don't know.
I think I'll be fine in about a month, so
Quit bragging. Look,
I'll be happy.
he's just trying to convince me to do it too.
No,
He wants to save my life. It's
I am
okay.
absolutely not trying to get rich, but I hope you do.
You gotta be the model.
Not if I end up dead, sorry, this is being recorded.
Okay, so let's do deadlines, because again, I'm a fan of deadlines because things get done.
I can have the letter drafted by next week, and I'll work with Pastor John.
And I'll have the envelopes and the mailers done by the 11th. Or you want it sooner?
You'll have what on the 11th?
I'm gonna have the envelopes with the little labels to each of the pastors. All you gotta do is insert your letter in.
Can't we just send them an email, or do?
Oh, you want their emails? Okay, I thought you said you wanted to send them a letter, so I went to old school letter.
Oh,
And
no,
you meant
sorry.
email.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I-
tacky.
I mean, we could even do.
What were you gonna
I'm
say?
sorry, John.
I would like the letter.
A lot of the
I like a
churches
letter.
are
I think a letter would be,
more appropriate.
Okay.
Appropriate. Yeah,
I get,
Yeah.
I get so many emails a
Okay.
day and I'm just click, and trash.
Yes.
That would be one that if I'm having a real busy day, I'll open the letter and read it. But
Okay.
so I think that the mailing the letter is
Yeah. Okay.
important.
That's.
I agree. Letter.
Going
letter.
old school.
But
Old
again,
school.
is there anything
Keep it
as
old
far-
school.
All right, thank you.
if it's official city business, I mean, is there any stipulations to how the letters
true.
get mailed out? Do they have to go in would it be best for them to come from a
The
city
city.
envelope?
Probably,
I
they
will
need
have
to.
to, yes, I will have to
Okay.
ask them.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll
It
just
seems
write
like to
it
me
like
Thank you for
how you
asking.
Go
print
through the
labels
city.
off.
Yeah.
So if Salome has to do it from the city, then all you have to do is print.
So
I know what's.
you're gonna draft the initial letter?
I'll draft it, then I'll send it over to you, and
Okay.
you can red line it. That works. I know there's lots of people that are now starting to do like a video introduction. So if we
Yeah.
did have an email, I'd be happy to do something like that too.
Yeah,
So-
there's a lot of our churches are older in truth and technology. I mean, I think it's going to hold weight, HRC, but even Pastor John's name also indicates like it's their camaraderie. So you're the man
Yeah, I don't
in
know
that,
about that.
and I'll do the
I don't
draft.
think that many people probably know me.
A lot of people know you actually. They think you're the bee's knees.
All right. So I think we're good. We just need to set a date for our next meeting. Do we want to meet in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or how do we want to?
Employee meeting is the 10th.
We have a meeting.
HRC is the 18th.
We have education on the 10th.
Yeah. We should definitely meet before HRC.
which
So
would be the
because
18th,
theoretically,
right?
if we get everything done, they'll be mailed out the weekend of the 12th.
I'm sorry. When's our next HRC meeting? Is it the 18th?
18th.
18.
I'm okay to meet the 11th unless you guys want to meet. Unless that's too much.
I have a meeting on the 11th at 6.
Okay, I'm fine to move it. I'm good any evening except for Friday.
It's-
I'm a Wednesday or a Monday or a,
Yeah, if it's that week, Monday's the only night I got open right now.
okay.
And
Monday's
eight-
good.
The 8th, okay.
Did we pick the 8th? Did I hear that?
Is the 8th okay, everyone?
Yeah, it's good with me.
All right, perfect. Let's set it for the 8th. I'm gonna put it in my calendar.
That's going to be a council meeting, right, Salome?
Oh, that is.
I think council meetings are March 1st and March 15th.
Okay, you're right. So that'll be a committee meeting at 6.
Yes.
Okay, so should we do?
Do you think we really need one before the 18th? I mean, we just had this one.
No, we don't need one. I'm fine
I mean,
not to have.
Care, I mean, I think we have to meet so that we stay on point with these objectives, but I also don't know that we need one every 2 or 3 weeks, because really what we need to do is, move on to the next phase, which is letting our name be out there and starting to look at addressing issues that we get externally instead of internally. I mean, at least that's
Yeah.
what my thought.
No, I appreciate that.
yeah.
That's
I'm
good.
in agreement with that, Todd.
In the last week of spring break, I'm breaking.
Okay,
So
so
if we could either do that last week or next,
you were saying the last week of March?
or no, the week before, like the
Like
week
the
of the
23rd.
22nd or
Okay,
the next. But I agree with Todd. We probably don't need to meet that. As long as we stay on the deadlines that we put, it's not really much, because we still need to meet with the history people and see
yeah,
that momentum. You have another email about the speakers. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I think the 8th will be, yeah, he's right. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the 24th right
Oh,
now.
we-
so
we could meet.
That's
with
okay.
people.
The HRC meetings, are they
Once per month,
once a month?
Yeah.
and it's on the 18th of March.
Right, I got that.
Yeah,
So we could meet in April.
So would it make sense for us just to meet once a month too?
I'm fine with that.
I think that's reasonable. I
Yep.
think that sounds reasonable, Marvin. I mean, that's just my vote, but I think we meet once a month. HRC meets once a month. That's a pretty good commitment for a volunteer organization. And we've done a ton of work. I mean, I think
Yeah.
sometimes people step back and think, gosh, what did you do? And I can tell you, just during this conversation, I got a text from Melissa Kleps that said, great meeting. You guys are doing great work. So, you know,
Aw,
we are
Thanks,
moving
Melissa.
forward.
we heart Melissa.
yeah.
Oh,
Do you want to meet on April 8th?
Well, we're saying once monthly, right? So
Yeah.
we'll meet the second to the last week of March, or you're saying no because of spring break, right?
When is spring break?
The last
It's
week of
different for
March.
different schools.
Troy is the last week of March. They go back on the 6th.
So when is Easter?
Easter is the 4th.
Okay.
so they're out so they're not out so the week of the 23rd, you'll be around, Sonia, right? That's not
Yeah,
Troy.
they're out the 26th to they go back the 6th. So
The
yeah, that's
Yeah, so we can do something like the 23rd or the 24th of March, and that will keep us consistent with once a month.
okay. I'm down with the 24th.
24th, the Wednesday would be.
Okay.
Perfect.
Can we set that as tentative? I need to check a date. I was
Okay.
supposed to go to the lake house
I'm so
at
jealous.
some point. I may not be able to go. Ben has baseball, so I may be stuck. I know it was around Easter.
Okay, so tentatively the 24th,
Yes, sir.
sounds good.
Yeah.
Well done tonight, guys. I'm gonna go eat
Yeah.
dinner.
Very much. And you go, boy. You go brag about your awesome Juneteenth. That was cool.
That was very
That's
nice,
a big
Todd.
deal.
That
Yeah.
was awesome.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Bye.
You too. Good night.
Oh,
Adjourned. Aye. Nay.
I made
Bye,
sure-
guys.
All in
Good night.
favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Opposed? None. Bye, everyone.